Good evening. I want to thank the Registrar's Office and the Office of Student Services for organizing this solemn event. My words today are paraphrased from a presentation that I gave at the last Diaspora Armenian Summit in Yerevan. They should not be construed as the words of the president of the American University of Armenia. These are my words, and mine alone, as a human, as a parent, and as a citizen of the Republic of Armenia, who was here for the duration of the 44-day war of 2020. These words come straight from my heart. Please let me begin by welcoming the parents, the families, the relatives, and the friends of our heroic soldiers, Aziz Aghajanyan, Arek Gevorkian, Hagopian, Eric Hajikian, Shavarsh Muradian, David Verabian, David Uzunyan, and also including David Petrosyan, who remains to this day missing in action. There are no words adequate to describe the sacrifice that these young men made. There are no words adequate to soothe the pain of a parent or a loved one. I cannot even pretend to understand what you have gone through. What I will try to do is explain my feelings about their sacrifice and why I feel that these brave, courageous, and honorable men participated in not a defeat, but in fact a victory that saved the Republic of Armenia. I know that this is not what we've been encouraged to believe. I know that the conventional wisdom is that Armenia lost the war, and this loss was due to Azerbaijan's drones and superior weaponry. This narrative has gone unchallenged in the world press, but also even internally in political and historical discourse within Armenia and the diaspora. But I'd like to spend a moment examining this idea carefully. In the 2020 war, the Azerbaijani forces that attacked Armenia were supported by 4 regional superpowers, namely Turkey, Pakistan, Israel, and Russia. These countries supplied our enemies with arms and real-time battlefield advice. Azerbaijan used its petrodollars to purchase battle-hardened mercenaries from Syria. Armenia, a small country of 3 million people, was backed by nobody. And I really mean nobody. Nobody cared what happened to us. Our brave and honorable soldiers fought with their backs against the wall. Now, the conventional wisdom is that when a small country faces one or more superpowers, they will be forced to capitulate in a very short time. In 2008, Georgians, battling only the Russians, held out for perhaps 5 days. Singapore's total defense strategy is based on deterrence. If both Malaysia and Indonesia were to attack Singapore at the same time, Singapore could inflict significant damage, but it could last for at most 2 weeks. So the enemy expected us to capitulate. Azerbaijan expected us to capitulate. Russia expected us to capitulate. The world expected us to capitulate. But our brave and honorable soldiers did no such thing. They did what they were supposed to do. They defended their homes and their families and their 5,000-year-old nation. They did it with honor and dignity, and they held out for 44 days against 4 superpowers. But that is not all. We can also look at outcomes. There is no question that Azerbaijan had 3 strategic goals made obvious by their troop movements during the war. The first was the taking of the 5 buffer regions surrounding Artsakh. The second was the taking of Artsakh itself. The third was the opening of a corridor to Nakhichevan. They succeeded with the first goal. They failed with the third goal. As for the second goal, they were forced to come to the negotiating table, having redefined success as taking Hadrut and Shushi. Most of Artsakh at that time remained Armenian. Of course, our enemies did eventually reach their second goal in 2023, but that was not a military victory. They did that in the most dishonorable and despicable way possible for a country to achieve a goal. With overt Russian help, a shameful betrayal of Russia's 200-year-old alliance with Armenia, Azerbaijan closed the Lachin corridor for 9 months to starve the civilian population of Artsakh to the point of malnutrition, in order to ethnically cleanse the region of its native Armenian population. That is the best that Azerbaijan could manage with the help of 4 superpowers. I think it's particularly significant that the enemy, while still to this day insisting on the third goal of a corridor through Armenia under their control, has not dared since that time to achieve that goal militarily. There is no doubt in my mind that if they thought they could do that, they would have done it already. But after the losses they suffered in 2020, no doubt far, far greater than anything they have admitted, they're obviously hesitant to try that approach again. That is called deterrence. And that, again, is due to the performance of our brave and honorable soldiers in the 44-day war. Now, when other countries with similarly breathtakingly adverse odds achieve this kind of outcome, even in defeat, the narrative is one of heroism. The British turned the embarrassment of Dunkirk into a story of heroism, the subject of movies. The Jewish people have turned the siege of Masada and the ultimately failed defense of the Warsaw Ghetto into stories of national heroism. The American people turned the embarrassing lack of security that led to the attacks on Pearl Harbor and the World Trade Center into national rallying cries. Even we used to know how to do this with the story of the heroic defense of Musaler and Van. Surely the performance of our brave and honorable soldiers in 2020 is worth at least that much recognition. I think it's time that we once again learn how to seize our own narrative, because in my view, in 2020, our brave and honorable soldiers scored the greatest victory for Armenia since the Battle of Sardarabad. If it were not for their performance in the 44-day war, we would have lost not only Artsakh, but also Syunik and probably parts of Vyotsor. And if that had happened, we would have been left with only a remnant of a country that would be neither defensible nor economically viable. Today, when I visit the US, I frequently see people flying the blue and yellow flag of Ukraine, a country that's become a symbol of resistance against the tyranny of autocracy. When I visit the Middle East, I frequently see people flying the flag of Palestine, a country that's become a symbol of resistance against genocide by settler colonialism. When I see these things, I cannot help but think that there's one flag missing, and that's our red, blue, and orange flag, the flag of a resilient country and a determined people who have spent the last 3 decades fighting against both the tyranny of autocracy and genocidal settler colonialism. I think it's time that we say very loudly, thank you to our brave and honorable soldiers for, against all odds, remaining true to their promise to defend this country, for carrying out the mission they were assigned, and more, for behaving with bravery and honor and dignity, and ultimately for saving this 5,000-year-old nation. So thank you. Thank you to them, thank you to our soldiers, and thank you to all of you for your presence.